This is my 75 donor engine, my Bialbero engine. Here I'm trying to disassemble everything around the engine, at the same time keeping all the bolts, screws, nuts, washers in place so I don't lose it. At the same time I don't have a lot of storage, and this is a perfect way to storage all the bolts and nuts uh, in order to not lose them. In here I'm trying to take out the bottom bolts of this power steering pump assembly. One of the bolts holds down the head too. In here again trying to look a crack on that pulley, probably because that nut was tightened too much. I believe this power steering pump was repaired or attempted to be repaired, because all those flat screw caps around the pump have scratches on them. Here on the alternator, just trying to take out the bottom bolt. The nut is a little bit stuck because of the dirt. A washer there. I don't think that's the only washer it should have on there, but that's what it is. Keeping the bolt and the washers and the nut in place. Never know on the future. On my 75, for example, that assembly was loose and the nut was not there when I purchased the car. So yes, the alternator was loose. That is not good for the stability of the carcass of the alternator. In here, just two nuts, but behind them, two very specific washers in each of the nuts. So watch carefully as I try to, with my thumbs, keep them in place, because I have to wiggle all the whole part, and sometimes they fall onto the ground, and you never see them again. Again, keeping the washers and the nuts in place, just like this, just 1-2 turns, it's enough. In here I already did this at least 2 times on my channel. The last time was when I tried to figure out the compression of this engine, and the first time was when I repaired the top half of my 75 engine. Okay, so I would not repeat the same process. Here on the thermostat housing, it will be all garbage. I will just take advantage of the bolts and the washers. In here, the caps for the camshafts, they are numbered, so there is not too much danger to mix and dump. Curious fact, on my 75 engine, the original one, the caps were not on the correct position when I disassembled the engine, as was the timing. The timing was also off, as you can remember. In here, this final cap is always very difficult to take out, and in here I was trying to take it out a little bit by force. I did not damage anything, so don't worry, no worries there. Okay, now the chain. I will save these cams because they are apparently very good. Saving the caps over here, by the way, in the right order, because I don't know if I will use this head on the future or not, or someone else. And in this way also keeping the washers, the very special washers and special nuts in place. This one was a struggle. As you can see, my wrench is broken, but that's not the cause of my struggle here. I did try to take out this oil filter off camera, but it really was very difficult, and my plan was to stick it with a screwdriver and turn it with it. But at the end, it did start to move. And here it is. One more push. This was a sign for what's to come on this engine. Everything is really hard and really tight. Here the RPM sensor and support. I will keep this because I think my 75 one is starting to cry out his last days. What you heard over there was a nut with it was captive on that back side, on that void, and it just fell on my tray on the ground. 36 millimeter to take out the. This was the sound that I made because, as you can remember on my previous video on this engine, I did try to take out that nut, but it was impossible with my air gun. And in this video, right away, I'm taking drastic measures and using those two bolts to create, with the lever, to create a way to lock the camshaft. Just repositioning here the bolt to do so. Okay, this lever is very old and it is really robust. Even though it bends a bit, it is really good. Okay. And on the other side, I found like I can call it a meter of a bar and try it to take it out. At this point, normally it will come out. No matter what you do on the floor or not, it will come out. But this one, just wait for it. The engine is on the cradle, is on the stand, and this stand is not really the best for this because it does not have locks to lock the engine in place. It just has screws to screw the engine position in place. So the more force that I do, the more the engine will rotate. That's why I put some wood underneath the engine, as you can see, to stop it from rotating. But the amount of force that I'm doing here is more than enough to take out this nut. It's just a simple nut. And I did put some penetrating fluid weeks ago, lots of weeks ago, and I was trying always to put some more every day. So I think maybe they glued down this one, or maybe I don't know. I don't know what they did, but I did push through. 2 meter long bar and some more. I'm not a weak guy, okay? I'm not the strongest guy in the world, but I took really advantage of my weight, 120 kilograms plus my strength on that bar, and what I did was to bend my crankshaft bolts and my socket wrench. That is what I did. Yeah. This is only the second one that I attempt to remove. The first one was on my 75, and it came out very easily. This one, no, not really. Okay, time for some redemption. Taking out the head, even though I know this will be a struggle, a very hard struggle. And as I was trying to remove the nuts, I did start to see the corrosion, the rust coming up the studs. So you're in for a treat for this one. I present to you how to remove a Bialbero head upside down. That is why I wanted this engine stand. It's really for this. Here I was just finished to disassemble some things and preparing mentally for what's to come. Just keeping the bolts again. Turning the engine slowly so the valve buckets and the mud and the oil and the water all come down to the tray. This one was the first attempt, the first hammer, second one, third one, fourth one, and I did try, and I did see progress. Wow, maybe upside down it will be the trick, maybe. So I keep going and going and going, and this will go on for a bit. But wait, here on the exhaust part, they did put the gaskets upside down, creating obstructions and leaks. So yeah, they just put some silicone there to try to fix the leak. And if they did try to put it some other way, they saw that, yeah, it was just turn it upside down. All three of them are upside down, and the fourth one, I believe so as well, because it has also that silicone scrap. At this point, I understand that the head was coming out very easily, and I put the engine on this boxer position because I was afraid the head was coming out too fast and hitting the ground or the engine stand. Yeah, that did not happen at all, and I tried to show every step of the way because every head will be different on these engines to remove, because as you go along the points of friction will change every inch, every centimeter that you that you try to remove it. Here in a bit I did start to understand that the head was moving, yes, but as I was hammering on one side, it was closing on the other. It is easy to understand here on video that is happening, but as I was doing this, I did not realize that right away, and now at this point I did realize that, so I put a shim on top, as you can see, and I start to hit it on the opposite way. And in this way did start to really have some progress. Here I can see that the head is starting to get really loose on the extremities, here on the back side of the engine, there on the intake, a little bit okay, it's progress as well. On this side here, as I hammer it down, it goes up on the opposite way. In this way I can understand that the prison is occurring on that exhaust side near the timing chain. Right here. Can you hear the sound? It's different. So it's just a matter of just keep going. This was 2 days ago and my arm is still aching. And I am used to doing stuff like this. I'm not just big just because. And eventually, yeah, it's off. Of course, at this point, I did not have many hopes for this engine. I already can see lots of things that are not good. Well, I was expecting something, but this is just awful. This engine is even worse than mine, I believe. The cylinder liners are all scratched up and down. They have a lot of marks of corrosion in water. And the fourth one is the best one so far. Of course, they have to be measured to see how they are about roundness. I'm talking about this because I don't know if my four or this four liners are good enough to machine again to the next size of pistons. And that's why I have to consider taking all apart of both engines. So on this number 3 here, it's really, really awful. Really bad. Of course, this engine now appears to me to be left behind on the rain outside. That's my guess. The engine itself, in terms of consumption of oil, is horrifying. I see lots of crust, both inside the crank case. Okay, yes, and on top of the pistons and on the head itself. I'll show you in a minute. And the water corrosion is amazing. Sometimes with some cleaning, but I don't know. I have to take out the rest of the engine apart. I cannot take out that stupid nut. I don't know what I'm doing with that. Maybe the machine guy can have more luck and more tools than me, and he itself can try to take that out. Already bent 2 bolts. Yeah, that's not good. Another indicator that this engine is not good, the crank seal is coming out. And if it's coming out, it's because there is too much pressure inside of the crankcase. So that's a sign. Whenever you have the seals are constantly, look at this one, constantly leaking and pushing out. The problem is not the seals themselves, it's the engine. Okay. Unless you have a Nissan. If you have a Nissan, you have to put original sealers. Here on the head of the engine, we can see that it's consuming a lot of oil by the crust that it has on the here on the valves. The valves themselves have a lot of corrosion. In the head, a lot of corrosion too. So the lack of compression can be due to, look at that, can be due to various things. I think I will take out the valves to see better, but pitted valves, pitted seats, the cylinders themselves too, the liners, I think it's all a big mess, and that's why this engine does not have any compression. So this engine is also a total lost or a total rebuild, depending on this, basically. If this is too pitted, if it is not too deep, and so on. Like you already saw on my playlist about the Alfa 75, I did just this job, so I will not repeat the same recordings. Here on the exhaust, you also could see that the gaskets were upside down. That was interesting. And then they had leaks, and they used this silicone mesh. So yeah, not good. I did not remove the intake on purpose for 2 reasons. I did want something to hit, yes, with a hammer, with the wood, like you could saw, and also my intake is very nice now, and my gasket is very nice now too. So I do not need this assembly. So one less thing to tear apart. So let's take out the valves and see the damage on the valves and the seats, okay? Right here you can see the danger that I told you about on my video about doing the timing chain on these engines. You must do the chain, or I mean the shafts, the camshafts must be close to the perfect position, because the valves will touch themselves, okay? So to stop any problems with the valves, try to do the timing chain like I told you, or your own way, but follow my principles of assembly. Oh, this is really bad. Okay, so let's check out the valves themselves. So I like to push it out, and now check for play this way on the guide. No, it's perfect. On the exhaust one, the same thing. It has a little bit of play. You can see it up and down, no, but left to right, yes, I have it. So this guide is shot, up and down nothing, left to right nothing. So this one is good. And now check the other ones, the same story. This one is shot, and in this way you will get more oil consumption, because because of the valve seal cannot keep up. So I was laughing because there is so much oil behind here, it's almost squeegee. So no, not sealing, nothing. You don't have a perfect seal on this valve. You don't have it, I believe. Nope, on this one either. It must be a perfect mirror finish on the valve and on the... Oh my droga. Cannot take it out. That one, oh my dog. Oh my god. So much corrosion. It's amazing. This one is better. Okay? Check this out. I think his engine was already... Can you see it? You must have a perfect mirror finish on the valves. Not happening here. Not happening here. And so on. Okay? The same story over there. Can you check this out? Over here. Close to good. And on the top there. Awful. Very bad. So, of course it does not have compression.